really don't.
Yeah. Put on a suit, step up to the plate. Not looking for casuals, looking for debate. Fluent versus chill versus everyone. Break it down till the best one wins. More fluent every time we talk. That's not ridiculous. Let us hear your thoughts, walk.
Yeah.
I like that at the end, Ori.
You know it.
Yeah.
You're going.
Yeah.
Gets you going.
Gets the people going. I don't even know what that means. Yeah, I know.
That's right.
I knew the reference. I knew the reference. I feel like there's a lot of stuff going on, and technically, we have 5 minutes to do an intro before the first debate. Let's start with obviously there is a judge who is in the comments. All American Cooper, what's good? Here's your replacement, Marcus. You better hope he doesn't do too good of a job. Marcus, Hoops History can be found on TikTok at Hoops History. How's it going? What's up?
It's going well. My TikTok account is Hoops History 2323. My tagline is your granddad's favorite players. Doing profiles on guys like Bob McAdoo, Willie Wise, Bob Davies, just people that are lesser known, but I think should be highlighted. I try to fight against the practice of error taxing on other people's lives every day.
That's interesting.
So, it's just,
Have you ever done Gus Johnson?
I don't think I have done Gus Johnson, but I will now.
He's one. He's every time there's this very popular channel that says something to the extent of prove your ball knowledge by giving us like some obscure player, and Gus Johnson's always my go-to because no one has ever heard of him. I'm like, dude, he was like a 5 or 6 time All NBA player, 6-time All Star, and they're like, what? I'm like, yeah, that's my guy. That's my guy. Ori, how's it going, man?
Going well. Excellent. Glad to be back. This is going to be a fun time, I think. I feel bad for All American Hooper, though, having to miss out. Shout out my guys.
At least he's watching.
I know.
Sure.
I'm gonna have to pick some really, really intense Celtics topics to try to make him jealous today. So,
well, he's driving, so be careful. I believe he's driving. Don't get him into a car.
oh yeah. Well, I'll make sure to say nothing to the effect of like Tatum's gonna fail or the Celtics won't win. We don't want to throw.
I'm trying to ask you guys relevant questions to what you believe in. Jaylen, how do you feel about birthright?
Hey, that's a conversation we can have. Birthright citizenship. I'm for it for most cases. I do think there's some exceptions to be had in birthright citizenship cases, but for the most part, I do think.
Oh, you're for it?
I'm for it, but I want to get at loopholes, right? I want to see you can't be visiting a country here for 2 months, pop out a baby, and suddenly you're a citizen, right? That doesn't really work. Not with that, but for the most part, I do think.
Should I pop that up again? I'm stuck in the New Orleans airport with an 8-hour delay. Bro, you can drive home.
Guys,
8-hour delay.
Get that one-way rental and hit the road.
Also a tough week though too. The greatest collapse or one of the greatest collapses in college basketball history happened to.
Well, that's only because it was your Dookies playing.
That was bad. I mean, that was horrendous.
Playing Dookie in the draft.
Drop the Dookie.
Well, this is back-to-back years too. Like this is last year. Can you imagine? We had Cooper Flag and Knuckle didn't win. This year, I thought we definitely had a top 3 team in the country. And to collapse like that again, what a 15-point lead at half, and just a play at the end. I just don't get it. Hold the ball. It's just
to quote a line from Coach Green, we are who they thought they were.
That's crazy. I just don't know.
Well, for a future debate, I am 100 million% against birthright citizenship. So let's kick things off with that comment because we're right at 1 minute past where we should be. First topic, Ori, the glowing headphones gets to go first.
Right.
Hit us up.
Excellent. All right. Well, there's been a lot of talk about the MVP conversation. I know we've talked about the MVP conversation a little bit. 1962 MVP conversation is one of the ones that gets brought up as a comparison because of how tough this MVP race could possibly be. I say that because I want you guys to fight for the dark horses. There's two guys in this race that I don't think are going to win the MVP award that I think could very well win the MVP award, and I want you guys to tell me why they should do so. I want Fluent. I want you to take on someone that might be easy for you this time. I'm not giving you a challenge. Luka Doncic. And Chilltown, I would like you to represent Jaylen Brown.
Aha.
I have Jaylen Brown versus Luka Doncic for that dark horse MVP candidacy. Let's go.
Absolutely. So,
I will start your timer. Hold on. Uno momento, por favor. Go.
So, rewind the clock 1 year ago, almost a year ago, Jason Tatum tears his Achilles, and the Celtics are basically destitute. Jaylen Brown is coming into this season. He's got a meniscus tear in his knee, so we're not even sure if he's going to start the season. They lose 4 of their 5 starters. In addition to them losing 4 of their 5 starters, their rotation guys now have to play an even bigger role. So we bring in guys like Shireman and Jordan Walsh, Luke Garza, this kid Manat, who ends up getting traded, with Jaylen Brown, who actually does play the season, with the system that Coach Mazzulla is running, and we expect this to be a gap year. I actually had this team, I think I had them at the top of the play-in tournament. I had them around 8. I thought Jaylen Brown in the system, I would be surprised if they actually made the playoffs. But I thought I had them as a play-in team, only to find out that the system was working, but this system doesn't work without the excellence of Jaylen Brown. It doesn't work without the defense of Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown, in fact, increased his scoring, which he was averaging, I believe, 24 a game last year. That 24 went to 30 a game this year. In fact, not only did that 24 a game go to 30 a game this year, his free throw percentage increased. Everything across the board increased. Defensively, he looked at one point like he was going to be an all-league defender. He was actually campaigning that he was the best two-way player in the game, and I didn't actually hate that logic off the strength of how much better he was playing against other teams. Like when I watched him against Kawhi Leonard, he did a really good job against Kawhi Leonard. When I watched him against the Miami Heat, when I watched him against the better teams, when I watched him against Cade Cunningham, he actually did a really good job defensively, and on top of that, carrying the scoring load as being the leading scorer. Now, there's some people who will suggest that this Boston Celtic team, there's some people who will suggest that this Boston Celtic team, it's a product of the system. Well, as good as the system is, you still need great players to implement that system. And Jaylen Brown has been that great player. So we're talking about a guy in Jaylen Brown who last season, if I'm not mistaken, he didn't even make any. Did he even make any All-NBA teams? I don't think he did. I don't think he made any All-NBA teams. And last season he went from averaging 22 a game to 29 a game this year. That's a 7-point increase. His usage rate, got higher, was better with the basketball this season. In addition to being better with the basketball this season, better distributor, better ball handler, better jump shooter. All of these things made this Boston Celtic team, as current right now, Tone, they're the number 2 seed in the East. This is a team that this was supposed to be a gap year for them. They were actually supposed to be a little bit better than what Indiana was. With them being a little bit better than what Indiana was, that was going to be it. But instead, this team is actually in contention for an NBA championship.
You like the heartbeat? That means it's time.
Nice.
I was going to say, I was like, some extra side effects trying to throw him off.
I know.
No. I try to do something because no one else is keeping score. This is what Chris normally does, which is and hits the timer. So I'm going to start the timer on myself and say, let's stick to Luka Don first.
Sure.
Averaging 38, 8, and 8. What's the knock on him? Well, they'll say his defense. Oh, he doesn't play defense. He doesn't play both sides of the ball. Really? Did Steph Curry play defense when he won an MVP? Did Nikola Jokic? Did Russell Westbrook? Did Allen Iverson? Did There's zero precedence to say that only two-way players win MVP. So you got a guy who's averaging 38, 8, and 8, who is the star on a team that includes the person that you think is the greatest player of all time, and he is still the clear-cut best player on that team. He plays with a guy in LeBron James, who I mentioned, and Austin Reeves, who are supposedly need the ball in their hands. And yet somehow he's putting up godly numbers. The only knock is his defense. This guy should be clear a runaway as the MVP. You talk about record. Well, guess what? He also has 50 wins. Now it's good enough for third in the West because the West is a better conference than the East. And they've got a 60-win Oklahoma City team. They've got a 50-something win Spurs team. Below them is another championship caliber team in the Denver Nuggets. They've got the Kevin Durant-led Houston Rockets. So they managed with horrible defense. No defense out of Luka Doncic. Nobody at center, a guy that we wish was Clint Capella, but is not even Lint Apella. And still 50 wins out of this team. You say you didn't think much of the Celtics. You didn't think much about the Lakers either. Nobody thought LeBron James, regardless of age, would take a back seat, but even he understood. A guy who's averaging 38, 8, and 8 is the best player on this team, the best player in this conference, the best player in the league. But guess what? You don't just have to be the best player in the league. That doesn't win you the MVP. You have to be the guy who is the most valuable to your team. Well, let's take Luka Doncic off this team. This team is really nowhere if you take Luka Doncic off this team. And let's compare that now to Jaylen Brown. Well, now they got Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum has returned. And yes, it's the whole season that matters. Yes, for the first part of the season, great job, Jaylen Brown. However, you're no longer even the best player on your team. How can you be the MVP when you're the second best player on your own team? So it's all Luka Don. It ain't Jaylen Brown.
So, Jaylen, I don't know if you remember this, but LeBron James last season, when he was playing with the Lakers, we were having a legit conversation about him being first team All-Pro. That was going on. Like after December, we were having that conversation. Well, he's got that guy back this year. In addition to having him back, he actually is healthy the whole season. Also, Austin Reeves was up for most improved player. Jaylen Brown, on the other hand, I don't have Jason Tatum, who was my first team All-Pro. In fact, I don't have Drew Holiday. I don't have Kristaps Porzingis. I don't have Al Horford. I have a bunch of cast-offs. I have a bunch of guys who were on the roster last year who weren't playing very much. Cater wasn't playing very much, right? Sam Hauser was playing, but he was a rotation guy. All of these guys' roles increased as time went on. I didn't have nearly what these guys had. Did I think much of the Lakers before the season started? Actually, I did. I just didn't think that they were a championship team. That's not even close to the same thing as a team that I didn't think would make the playoffs. And here they are as at the top of the Eastern Conference as the number 2 seed. And we're actually having a conversation about them possibly winning the NBA championship. When you have a guy like Luka Doncic, who led the league in scoring this season, and I think he was second in the league in scoring last year, you have an opportunity. And on top of him, you also have Austin Reeves, who was averaging before he got hurt 26 a game. And it's interesting you bring up Jason Tatum. I don't know if you noticed, Tone, but I didn't get Jason Tatum back till 3/4 of the season was already over, which means that we could have been in the basement, but we weren't. And you know why we weren't? Because I was on the crew and because of what I was doing. So in talking about being the most valuable player in the league, I am the most valuable player in the league. When you think about everything that I've done and everything that we lost, I am the most valuable player in the league today. That's Jaylen Brown.
To discredit Peyton Pritchard and Derek White, both averaging 17 points per game, Derek White being an elite defender, and being on a team that had zero expectations. You said it yourself. You didn't even expect them to make the playoffs. It was a down year for the Celtics. Do you know how easy it is to go into a season when there's no expectations, when there's no pressure, when all you got to do is just play basketball because no one's expecting anything from you? You never get that with the Lakers, and you never get that on a team with LeBron James. So you're on the Los Angeles Lakers with LeBron James. You're expected it's a title or bust. You are expected to be great. You're expected to be the best player in the league. That is a lot of pressure. Jaylen Brown went in and did it with no pressure, with a great team, with a guy that you called maybe the best coach in the league. Last night you called it. We went in with JJ. I don't know if he's going to lose his mind. Redick. One day he's great. One day everybody hates him. Damn it. My own buzzer cut me off.
I don't want to
Time's up.
Damn you.
Time's up.
Time's up. All right. Time's up.
All All right, Ori, kick it off. Who you think won?
All right. Well,
No,
that
Orange
was
was
fun.
last. It was his topic.
was last.
Yeah, that's
okay.
true. Yeah.
We got the new guy first.
Yeah. Put him on the spot. See, that's Luka Doncic pressure.
Yeah. I mean, I do think Luka Doncic has a better case for MVP. I think he's ceiling raising a good team. I mean, Jaylen Brown is exceeding expectations, but I don't know how much of that actually has to do with Jaylen Brown. Certainly a lot of it, but you consider that Joe Mazzulla, Joe Mazzulla is probably the best coach in the league. You have Derek White and Peyton Pritchard. They have like the lowest turnover rate in the league, and that has a lot to do with Derek White and Peyton Pritchard, both averaging 17 points per game. Sure, the Lakers have LeBron James, but he's not LeBron James anymore. He's going to miss like 30 games this year. I think he's played about 50 some odd games. Austin Reeves played about 50 some odd games, and Luka Doncic, I think, without LeBron James, has led them to a winning record. Not to mention the Celtics, despite the fact that this was a gap year, had a much more active offseason than the Lakers. The Lakers just signed a bunch of, I think, a hodgepodge of bargain bin players and then didn't do anything at the trade deadline. So I do think Luka's the MVP. I do think Luka has a stronger MVP case. So I'm going to go with Fluent.
All right. I mean, it's a good question. I think Luka and Jaylen Brown both have interesting cases, and I think both in a world could be ahead of SGA. I'm going to go with Chilltown Hoops on this one. I do think Jaylen Brown. I think Luka having Austin Reeves, who was playing at an all NBA level basically for the first, few months of the season, I think was big for that team. And just with like what Chill said, and even kind of Fluent, the expectation for Boston was to sort of be a, quote unquote, not a full rebuild year, but a down year. They weren't expected to do much. Tatum was supposed to be out. Guys like Jordan Walsh were starting. And I think the one constant, even with Derek White and Peyton Pritchard playing well, the one constant was Jaylen Brown, right? Whether you needed 10 rebounds, 10 assists, or 35, 40 points in a game, Jaylen Brown just gave them what they needed every single night. And that roster, again, what he was able to do with that team, I think was significant. MVP, most valuable player. You take Luka Doncic out, you take Jaylen Brown out, I do think Boston would hurt a little more in this situation.
Nice. Well, then I get to be the one that chooses the winner. My favorite time. That was a great debate, both of you guys. I have to go with my heart on this one, and I got to go with Chilltown.
No, go with your head. You go with your heart.
Both are probably the same in this one,
right? You guys brought the heat. You guys brought the heat.
My
right?
heart, if your brain is saying the same thing,
right? So yeah, I would give the slight edge to Chilltown in this one, though I think you both made very good cases. Luka Doncic is probably more likely to finish higher this season, but I do like the narrative built case that Chilltown did come up with. So yeah.
My question for Hoops History is, sure, you feel like Luka Doncic has a better case. My question is my argument versus Tone's argument, which one was better? Because it sounds like you put together your own argument for why Luka Doncic, why Luka Doncic is.
Because he knew exactly what I was thinking.
What I'm asking is my argument versus Tone's argument. Whose argument was better, more compelling?
I think your argument was actually more compelling.
There we go.
That's a sweep. It's a sweep.
He knew it.
It's okay. He's new. He didn't know the question. He didn't know what he was supposed to do.
Really about.
Like you could disagree with them, but they make the better argument. They win the debate. So.
It still works.
Yeah, man. My grandmother told me Hoops when I was my grandmother told me when I was a kid.
You swaying the judges. You swaying the judges.
You could talk a woman's drawers off. You could talk them back on too.
Talk about it.
You can
smart
absolutely
lady.
talk
That's
back
smart
on
woman
too.
right there.
So, you have to be convincing when you're talking. So that's why I was trying to. I'm like, did I make a compelling enough argument? Because it sounded like he was making an argument for Luka. I'm like, wait a minute.
I was going to tag him in. He did a good job.
For real.
He knows what to do.
And hey, based on that right there, Chilltown, we're gonna go to the next question. That's gonna take you guys back maybe to the days where you guys were talking to these ladies. We're going to take it back, do a little remix question here. It'll be good to see both your perspectives. Jay-Z just sold out a stadium, right? So Jay-Z, one of the greatest of all time, just sold out, I think, two nights in Yankee Stadium. Good for him. We're going to take it back to, he did. Yeah, he's going to do Reasonable Doubt. And, Reasonable Doubt one night and the second album the other night.
That's good. That's his best album.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. So we're going to take it back to that hip hop era. We're gonna do a little Tupac versus Biggie. We're gonna do a little Tupac versus Biggie, and we're gonna see who, and not necessarily a question of who's better, who had a greater impact on the culture of the time. Since you guys lived it more than us, great to see. We're gonna give a Fluent Tupac, and we're gonna give Chilltown Biggie. Who had the greater impact?
Oh, you made a mistake giving Chilltown Biggie. I know he loves Biggie.
Tone, you are. I went first the last time. So.
Yeah. That's okay. I'm just sit here with my thug life. Listen, when it comes to impact, it's about who influenced people more. So it's not about record sales. It's not about who had the best lyrics. It's not about any of that stuff. None of that stuff matters. You just push that aside. So when we look at musically, Pac did something that Biggie could never do. He put out completely different styles of music that affected people. He would make you want to stand up and fight 1 second. Then he'd make you cry and go hug your mama. Then he'd make you want to like raise Brenda's baby. I have a great story about that, by the way. After we finish this debate, I got to tell you something about that. So from a musical standpoint, he covered every single base. He had a guy like me screaming "Thug Life" growing up in a suburb of Toronto. So that's all I gotta say. That being said, he transcended that music and also became an actor where he influenced people and the culture. Everybody remembers Above the Rim. Everybody remembers what he did there. So when we talk about lyrically, covered all the bases. Went from a Juilliard student, like he was in a drama school, right? Into this iconic rapper that we will forever remember. Sadly, he got taken away too early because he was like Digital Underground. The lead singer Digital Underground said it the best, I think.
Hank Shockley.
He was like Malcolm. He would talk to you in a cadence that just got you motivated and moved. So you put all of those things together. You know, Biggie was good. Biggie was great. Let me say this. Biggie was great as a rapper. Pac was influential and iconic as a human being. He moved and affected people both negatively and positively through not only his music, but the words that were coming out, the way that he said it, what he said in interviews, his acting, etc. He covered so many more bases than Biggie did.
So, Jaylen, East Coast was royalty in the 80s, even in the beginning of the 90s. East Coast was straight royalty. If you wanted to be a rapper, if you was a rapper, the East Coast was royalty. Even though it was some dope rappers on the West Coast, it was royalty. But then we move into the early 90s, and Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg and Death Row, they got the West Coast. The West Coast got the rap game on smash. There's some dope rappers on the East, but the West Coast got the game on smash. Nobody cared about Redman. Nobody cared about KRS-One. Nobody cared about DOS effects like that. Because why? Because Snoop and Dre had the West Coast and had the rap game on smash. Enter Biggie Smalls. You enter Biggie, and Biggie brings the East Coast back. Biggie makes it cool not only to be a big dude and be fly. Remember the famous line, Tone, heartthrob never, black and ugly as ever. However, I stayed coochie down to the socks. Why? So now you got big guys wanting to be fly. Before, they couldn't do that. And when you're talking about culturally and in terms of an impact, when you bringing a whole coast back from destitute like Biggie did, because the West Coast was on smash, because not only is Death Row got this on smash, Pac actually gets on the Death Row group. So now that's KD getting on the Warriors. That's KD getting on the Warriors. So in fact, Biggie is basically carrying the East Coast. And he's carrying the East Coast, not just with his lyrics. He's carrying the East Coast with his style, with his flow, how influential he is. Now it's cool to be from the East Coast again. Now it's cool to rap like East Coast dudes do. Now it's good to be from that area, because it wasn't before, because everybody knew that the game was on smash from the West Coast. The East Coast was brought back by Biggie, the king of New York. Nobody was paying attention to L. Nobody was paying attention to DOS effects like that. Nobody was paying attention to Redman like that. But when Big showed up with Ready to Die, and then when Big showed up with not just Ready to Die, but Life After Death before he was tragically killed, the East Coast was back in effect, and it was back in effect because of Biggie. You want to talk about impact in the rap game, and actually having an entire coast with you and having an entire rap genre with you. Even people from the West Coast was digging Biggie. And if you was from the West Coast and you say you wasn't, you lying.
That's why I effed your bitch, you fat bastard. Battle rap that ended all battle raps. You talked about the style. Well, where'd he get that style? Where'd he get those Gucci loafers? He saw Pac do it. So again, I don't want to make it about rap because the argument can be made that Biggie was the better pure rapper, but we're not talking about who's the better pure rapper. Pac was the bigger overall impact. He spoke about important things. He didn't just do party raps. He didn't just do one album when he was alive. That was your time or not mine. He had a full catalog of albums, hundreds of songs. He was an actor, a rapper, a poet. He fought racism, the struggle, poverty. He did more and had more impact on the culture because that was the question, including his acting, his activism. His mother, who was a Black Panther, brought those things to light. So when the East Coast had to steal from his style, because you're right, Death Row knocked them right off the map. Biggie was sitting playing with Baby Oil and Diddy at Diddy parties. Pac was fighting the struggle, and that's why his impact was greater.
Biggie actually made a song about why he didn't want to live anymore. How this is how impactful he is. He made a song about that, and then came back and started to rap about why he wasn't that anymore, which was now motivation for other people to be more than that. Now, sky's the limit. Have what you want, be what you want. Not only that, Biggie also, to your point about Tupac, Biggie would have you laughing, Biggie would have you crying, Biggie would have you inspired, but also Biggie wrote a song about selling crack. And he didn't just make a record about selling crack. He made a record about the rules of doing it. If you sell crack, this is how you do it. But he also made a record about if you want to be anything in this world, you can be it, and this is why you can be it. And he did that for an entire genre. I can't say enough about how important he was to the culture of the East Coast.
I like it. All right, Ori, what are you thinking?
Wow, man, that was, first and foremost, did not see this coming from a mile away.
Yeah, me neither. I was
So yeah, shout out Jaylen for the great topic. This was awesome. But at the end of the day, I'm gonna sound like a broken record today because this is my second time going Chilltown. Chilltown convinced me. You know, it was the way that he said those Biggie lyrics, man. The way that he put those out, just so easily. You know, I have to lean him just because I think it was an uphill battle as well. I think that this would be a tough argument for most people, and I think he did a stand-up job. So I got to give Chilltown the W on this one.
Come on, Chilltown.
Who's next?
So this time I actually agree with Fluent, and I think he has the strongest argument. Talking about Tupac's impact, discussing social issues in a way that Biggie did not, even though he did have the 10 Crack Commandments and all that. Tupac really did do a lot more in terms of making that impact, which obviously leads to, other rappers like Kendrick Lamar. Talking about the range of styles that Tupac was able to perform at his, and the range of emotions that Tupac would make you feel. If you listen to his catalog of music, I think Fluent said it perfectly. I think I not only agree with him, I think he also made the strongest argument here.
Thank you, sir.
1-1. Well, I think Chill made a great argument with the entire coast really riding on Biggie, him really bringing them all up while they're getting disrespected. But man, I'm gonna have to go with Fluent. I'm gonna have to go with Fluent with this one. I think the whole poet, the stuff they said about interviews, his mom being a Black Panther, like he said, and then her kind of bring those teachings down to him and him really pushing a message, like I said, fighting racism, injustice, and we talk impact. I think you can make a case musically. Biggie maybe had more of an impact for sure, but I think that the points that Fluent covered, the totality of everything, I think probably.
Listen, I struggle because I love them both, and they're both in my top. I want to say 5. Neither one of them is number 1 for me, but they're both in my top 5, and I prefer Biggie as a rapper, but because the question was larger than that, it's got to be Pac, right? Do you agree with that? Now that the debate's over, do you agree with that or no?
When Big was killed, I had a real hatred for Pac.
Mm.
I had a real hatred for him because I was thinking to myself, the reason why he ain't around no more is because of you. And then I ended up hearing a Pac song probably about a year after Big died. I heard Thug Paradise with him and a remix with him and Nas. And I went back and I actually listened to Pac album. I was like, this dude is fucking amazing. Oh, yo, this dude is amazing. And what it made me do is it made me go back, because I was a big Pac fan before this Biggie thing happened between him and Big. I dug Pac. So what it did was it made me go back and I started re-listening to all of Pac's stuff. And it reminded me of how dope he really was. It did. It reminded me how dope he really was. So that East Coast, West Coast thing really threw a monkey wrench in rap for a long time. It did.
Yeah. Oh,
I stopped when Big got killed. I stopped listening to rap. I did.
It went too far. It went too far. So let me share the story really quickly because I'm going to check the schedule. I want to make sure I don't want to take us too far off schedule. No, we're good. So you remember Jeff Pearlman, Chill, right? Okay. So Jeff Pearlman, for those that don't know, was on Fluent and Chill about a book that he wrote, Showtime, which was then adapted into a series, I believe, for HBO for the show Showtime, the Lakers story.
Winning Time.
Winning Time. Yes,
that was the name of the show. Sure.
He wrote that book that inspired that series, right? So obviously we had him on the show, and he's hilarious. By the way, he's wearing a shirt with my favorite player, Magic Johnson, on it that said "Stay positive." I digress on that, but it was right. But here's the thing. So I was talking with Jeff, and he told me a story. Because he wrote a book. So he's done a lot of great biographies. Go check out Jeff Pearlman if you want to see some amazing biographies. So he either did or he just finished a biography recently on Pac, where he goes through and does this whole dives deep into the history of Pac.
Yeah.
So listen to this insane story. And I'm sorry, Jeff, if you're listening and you're watching, because you say you do sometimes, if I get some of this wrong. So I'll try to just give you the broad. So he starts interviewing people. Okay, about Pac and his life. He ends up going back to, I believe, New York, where the story Brenda's got a baby and she threw it in the dumpster. And all that. He goes back and he's interviewing people in that area, and meets the mother who that song was written about, because it's a true story. Like, it was in the New York, it was in the news, right?
Interesting.
Now he's from Los Angeles. He's talking to other people about Pac and ends up meeting I believe it was a boy who was born in New York at that same time, was adopted, was through the system, then adopted, moved to Los Angeles. They start connecting dots. I'm getting chills just thinking about this because the way he tells stories is way better than me. That's why he's an author and I'm not. Doesn't he find Brenda and her baby and reunites them, and just the story is true. She got pregnant super young, threw the baby down the garbage chute. It ends up in a trash can. Someone finds him, saves him. Unfortunately, he goes into the system, orphanages and stuff. Gets adopted, has this essentially good life, but always wondered who his mother was. The mother, who says, I think she was 13, and she was like, I didn't know what to do, and I looked for him and I searched for him, and she proves that she looked for him and didn't just give up on him. Yeah. And he reunites them. Dude, as he's telling the story, you're like, it's crazy. So if you
What's the odds of that happening? What are the odds of that happening?
Yeah, that is so wild.
Almost zero.
He works in mysterious ways, my friend.
Wow.
So because of this, I wouldn't have even thought of it, but because you said that topic, and I was like, gee, I hadn't thought about this story in a while. But anyways, give me I need a second.
No doubt. It's an intense
Sports fans, Chill here.
And I'm Fluent.
We're bringing you all the Sports Fluent merch you need.
Tees, hoodies, hats, mugs, gear made for the conversation.
Just hit sportsfluent.com/merch.
Speaking of merch, what's up with that hat, yo?
This one?
Yo, we
I got
find
it.
that.
It's a sports memorabilia store in Martha's Vineyard. I saw it. I was like, oh my god, I need this.
What?
And,
That is so
yeah,
dope.
yeah. They make their own stuff there, so it was cool. Yeah.
87 finals, Bird and Magic.
Bird
That
and
is
Magic,
so
yeah,
dope.
I love it.
Yeah, that's tough.
That is
What?
dope. Yeah.
Well, it's
Super
hoop
dope.
history that just completely makes sense.
Yeah.
Right.
On brand, definitely on brand.
It's the MO. Love it.
All right, so you hoops history.
Okay, I'm gonna sound like a dumb Canadian. I apologize. Where's Martha's Vineyard?
It's off the coast of Massachusetts. President Obama has a house there. Larry David, a bunch of celebrities live there in the summer. It's a really it's a highly sought after.
Oh, you've heard of it before, Tom.
No, I've heard of it. I knew the general East Coast. I didn't know exactly.
Yeah.
So if I'm in Boston, let's say this summer in August, which I will be, or July, is it like close enough?
You'd have to drive down to the south coast of Massachusetts or Cape Cod and take a ferry over, or you can take a plane.
I will be in Cape Cod. That is one of the stops.
You can take it. There's a couple ferries on the Cape that go to Martha's Vineyard and Nantucket, the other island over there.
All right. I'm gonna go check out Martha's Vineyard. Have a little drink, a little.
It's a great place. It's a great place.
All right, love it. So it is your topic.
Okay, actually, one of the reasons I'm wearing this hat, besides the fact that it's awesome, is that this is actually my topic. Larry Bird, Magic Johnson. I think typically have them. I think most people have Magic Johnson ranked ahead of Larry Bird all time. But who at their peak is a better basketball player, Larry Bird or Magic Johnson? Chill, I'm going to give you Larry Bird. Fluent, you're a big Magic Johnson fan, so I'm going to give you Magic Johnson.
Ooh. So, and I love this, actually. This is awesome. So at their peaks, I mean, I'm talking about when they were at their peak, Bird showed up right from the beginning, and he was awesome. Comes out of college, comes right into the NBA, first team All-Pro as a rookie. I think him, Chamberlain, Jabbar, Jordan, just to name a few guys, are some of the rookies that were first team All-Pro as a rookie. So he shows up as a rookie and is awesome. They win the NBA championship that very next year. When we get to his peak seasons, and I think his peak seasons were from 84 to 88. And I'm going to make an argument for why he should have been the league MVP in 1988 over Jordan. So from 84 to 88, Bird gave me 27, 10, and 7. So that's basically at that time in a slower pace, playing in that kind of front court. In addition to playing in that kind of front court, that style of play, he was almost involved in every play of the game. With him being involved in almost every play of the game, he was also an all-league defender. So he was a great team defender, glass cleaner. He was a double-digit rebounder amongst the trees during that time. And when you want to talk about a bucket getter, I mean, Bird could score it in a multitude of ways. He could knock down the long ball. In addition to being able to knock down the long ball, he could put the ball on the floor and take it to the rim with both his weak and strong hand. Had a damn good box game. In addition to him having a damn good box game, we could run the offense through him. And these guys, both McHale and Parrish, played off of him really well. In addition to those guys playing off of him really well, Danny Ainge was able to actually become an all-star because Bird implemented him in the offense. And when we moved to 1980, because everybody thinks 1986 was that year. 1988 was actually the year. That was the year that Bird went third. He went almost 30-10. He went almost 30 and 10 on 50-40-90 that year. And the Boston Celtics won 62 games, and they were older at that point. Bird was older at that point. He was almost landlocked, but still smart enough to be better than everybody else as a bucket getter, as a distributor, even still as a defender at that point. One of the most clutch players in the game, and he was that awesome for a longer period of time. I want to say from 83, 84 up until 87, 88. That's when he was at his best. I think Bird, in terms of a peak, I think he was the best.
Listen, these two guys need to both be adored, respected, cherished, admired, praised, because the league was on the verge of bankruptcy, and these two guys saved the NBA. However, when we're talking about Bird versus Magic, it's, with Bird, you got to, that's why you had to shrink the years down for his peak, right? Obviously, some of that was due to injury, etc. But his that time was shorter. Magic came into the NBA and was robbed, obviously, of the Rookie of the Year. Was given to Bird because racism. But he was the Finals MVP that year, led the Lakers to a championship, lost their best player in Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and said, "Don't worry, I got this." So he came right out of the gate as a great player. Now, statistically, we're going to say that Bird was a better rebounder than Magic. However, you have to look at positions when we look at that. So I believe the difference between the two is like 1 or 2 rebounds per game, but one is a point guard. The other is essentially a power forward from, you want to call him a small forward, but let's be honest, look where he played down low with Parrish and McHale. He was getting a lot of his rebounds kind of sneaking in behind those two guys because what was everybody doing? Boxing out Parrish and McHale. He had those guys. Magic came in and had 3 different head coaches in his first 3 years. Had to convince the team that he was a point guard. If you remember the first 3 seasons, he was a shooting guard, listed as next to Norm Nixon. And it took them all being gone and Pat Riley coming in and saying, okay, here's the reins. So you have a guy now who, when we say control the tempo of the game, nobody did that better than Magic. Magic averaged over 11 assists per game. At his peak, he was not only averaging 12 assists per game, but he was averaging 20, 22, 23 point per game seasons as well. So here's a guy who could score at will, could guard multiple positions, although, listen, he is not an elite defender. I'm not trying to say that he is, but with his size, he can go down on the block and be fine. But no one controlled the game. No one got his teammates involved more than Magic. No one influenced everything in basketball like Magic. And let me explain what I mean by that. Somebody better be paying attention to the time because I'm not. Without Magic, there is no Scottie Pippen. There's no Grant Hill. There is no Penny Hardaway. There is no LeBron James. There's no Tracy McGrady. None of that happens without a 6'9" guy holding his beliefs that I'm the point guard. We're going to talk about who's better, though. So who's better? Well, the guy that won more is better. Well, that's Magic. The guy who produced more offensively, so Bird scored more, but when you look at assists and points off of that creation, pushing the tempo, that's Magic. So Magic won more, was more influential on the offensive side of the ball. What's the best defense, guys, for all of us who play basketball? Is a strong offense.
Sure.
So a point guard being even close in rebounds and being close in points while distributing 4 or 5 more assists per game, he's clearly the better overall player because that's what we're looking at. And his peak, since we're comparing peaks, was longer and more influential because he won more, I think.
Interesting you mentioned that his peak was longer. So we'll rewind the clock. So Hoops, number one, the reason why Magic won the Finals MVP because Jabbar wasn't there. So they had to give it to somebody. So that's why he won it. Not because he earned that. Not because he was the best player in the championship series. Jabbar wasn't there. If Jabbar was there, he would have got the Finals MVP. That's number one. Number two, from 84 to 88, Larry Bird won the league MVP 3 times because that's what we're talking about here. We're talking about peaks. Larry Bird won the league MVP 3 times. And in those 3 years, they won the NBA championship twice. And in them winning the NBA championship twice, he did outplay Magic in 2 of those championships. He outplayed him in 84. That's the year of Tragic Johnson, and he outplayed him in 85. The reason why they ended up winning that NBA championship series was because of an old guy named Jabbar. That's why they ended up winning that championship series. It wasn't because of Magic, who did get better. I'm not going to argue that point, but it was because of an old guy named Jabbar. Absolutely. And then in 1988, which I think was his best season, which I can't bring up enough. This is when the game is actually changing because we got high flyers in the game like Dominique Wilkins, Michael Jordan, guys like that are now in the game and playing above the rim. Bird is still excelling during that point. He's still cleaning glass with the best of them, still shooting the 3 ball, still not just shooting the 3 ball, but still scoring the basketball at a high rate at 6'9", 6'10", at the 3 spot. I don't play the 4. Kevin McHale plays the 4. I play the 3 spot. I am the facilitator. I am the distributor. I am the playmaker. With all of this being said, I think that Magic eventually became better. But when we're talking about peak, that 4-year peak, I was better than you were me.
You know, you talk about a 4-year peak. I'm going to talk about a 9-year peak. Magic Johnson finished top 3 in MVP voting 9 straight seasons. top 3, 9 straight seasons. I'll say it again. His 3 MVPs, yeah, they came in 4 years. You know what he did in between? He won MVP, MVP third, MVP second to one of those high flyers, Michael Jordan. So there's a 9-year stretch of peak where he is top 3 in MVP voting, top 3 player in the NBA, and a winning player. Tragic Magic, hey, what you do after you fail is as important as what you do before, during. Okay, so he did come back from Tragic Magic, and let's definitely not go into playoff performances because Bird had multiple collapses in the playoffs, multiple collapses in the finals that cost the Celtics series. Yes, Magic had one.
Never happened during his peak years, though. Not once did it happen during his peak years.
Well, because his peak was so short.
Yeah.
Ooh. Yikes.
That's what this was about. Peak years. And it's interesting Tone mentioned that
Don't sway them now. Don't sway
All right, Ori, who you got, Ori?
He's gonna try. I was
We
gonna let
got
him try
Ori.
that now. All right, so excellent work, guys. For this one, I don't know what it is been about today, but
here we go again.
we're on the same page, Chilltown, you and I today. That was the thing that swayed me was I understand we're talking about peak. You wanted to extend that peak out to 9 years, but 4 years is a peak. And I think that Larry Bird arguably
You can't go 9. You have a 4-year peak. Absolutely.
But when I think Larry Bird is arguably the best 4-year peak of all time if you compare it to other people with 4 years. Just 4 years, he's right in that conversation. So I think that was a good argument, and I'll lead Chilltown for this one.
Yep. That was a good one. But when it comes to peak, I do think Chilltown focused on peak a little more than Fluent. I think Fluent stretched it to a 9-year peak because to kind of make the argument, which I thought was a clever argument for sure. But the 3 MVPs, the overall game of Bird, how Chill presented that, really having no weaknesses in the offensive end and him even still playing defense. And like I said, Tragic Johnson during the peak, while I think Larry Bird's failures, weren't in that stretch. I'm gonna give it to Chilltown.
It's tough.
Your vote is worth 2, just so you know.
This is a very good debate. I do think Fluent made a very good argument about how basically, but it was more about why we rank Magic Johnson all time, the better career, the impact, right? Who came after, all of that. But in terms of who was the better basketball player at their peak, I think Chilltown talking about how Larry Bird impacted the game during that 4-year stretch, the accolades he won, the titles he won, the 4 straight finals, the finals performances. I think Chilltown did a better job conveying how he believed Larry Bird was a better basketball player at his peak. But I think again, Fluent did a good job about talking about his Magic's overall career being a lot better. So I'm going to go with Chilltown on this because I think he had a better answer to the question. Magic
ended up passing Bird.
100%.
I definitely think he ended up passing Bird, but during that time, because Tone brought up the point about the 9-year peak where
I had the better peak.
Not 9-year peak, but he brought up that 9-year stretch where Magic finished top 3. And again, that's where we stopped at because I could easily refute that because Bird finished 7 years, 1 or 2 in MVP votes. So
not 9.
Yeah. He won it 7 years. He didn't finish lower than 2 for 7 straight years. I was either 1 or 2.
And you know why? Racism.
No, it wasn't. And the crazy thing, I remember Cedric Maxwell said this, that guys would ask him, yo, he's not that good. Oh, you about to find out. You're about to find out right now. You don't know? You're about to find out right now. Uh-huh.
It is weird though. A lot of people growing up always had Magic over Bird, but the more I watched him play, the more I watched him play, I just think Bird is like a noticeably better basketball player. Like I don't even think it's really a debate. I think Bird to me is like there's a gap between Magic and Bird in terms of like basketball ability. Like what Bird does on the court is up there. Like Bird's basketball ability is closer to like LeBron, Jordan-esque type guys in terms of what he can do on the court than it is, I think, to Magic.
Tony, my heart of hearts.
Magic is a very different player.
You can say that. I guess different. Yeah, maybe it's that. Maybe it's that. It could be that.
In my heart of hearts, Tone, I'm of course I'm a kid. I'm a teenager. Magic better than Bird. in my heart, I'm like, yo, he better than him. He is not better than Bird.
Like I said, it's hard because I agree. I think Bird had a better peak.
Mm-hmm.
But I think if I look at their careers, this is why I have Magic over Bird, is I think he had a better career. Like you said, he passed him now.
He did pass him.
Some of that has to do with Bird being cheap, right? He's a cheap, stingy, frugal dummy who went and shoveled his mama's gravel or whatever the hell he was doing and blew at his back when he should have hired someone. And who knows what Bird could have been.
Well, that's a real thing. Like he was
That's a real story. That's tragic.
They both had their careers cut short due to very poor decision making.
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh, Magic did the wrong decision over and over and over and over. Unfortunately, which
ended up catching up to him.
ended up catching up to him for sure.
Mhm.
I know
To
you're
your point, Totone. To your point, Totone, really quickly.
Yeah.
I did think that Magic was better than Bird simply off the strength that he was black. That was it.
It was a different time.
But because I lived in a predominantly black neighborhood, but in my heart, watching Bird silently, I was like, Bird better than him, yo. Yes. In my heart, I was like, Bird is better than him.
We got it on video.
Yes, he is. But I was saying when I was a kid, I'm going with Magic off the strength that, yo, I live in a black neighborhood and I'm a dumbass kid and I don't know my ass from my elbow, and everybody else think that Magic is better and he looked like me, so I got to go with him. But in my heart, and I'm watching these games silently, I'm like, yo, that dude better than him. He is better than him. I can't say that out loud because I'll get in trouble, but that dude is better than him. Yes, he is.
Let me ask you something, because this isn't stuff that I had top of mind as we were debating it. If I brought up that Magic head to head was 22-15 against him and 2-1 versus him in the finals, would that have swayed anybody?
No.
No, okay.
No, because I
hate the head-to-head stuff is like, oh, well, this is why Kobe's better than Duncan, or this is why Steph's better than
that's why I asked. That's quite everyone always brings that up, so I was curious if that would have swayed anybody so I know for future debates. Chris, I know you're a Celtics fan. Does that influence your decision at all?
Yeah.
At the airport?
Yeah.
It's quiet, New Orleans.
I got my earbuds in.
Oh, okay.
That's why. Yeah.
Well, you just empty chairs too. So.
I walked over to a quiet station. Yeah. My thing is still stacked, but I got my roommates looking over my back, so I'm all good. I've never been a big head-to-head guy. There's always been like Hoops pointed out, there's always a handful of arguments, but it just falls apart. Kind of like chilled in the last episode of Fan vs. Haters. Like Isaiah Thomas isn't better than Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
What's the Meta Center?
It's the Motor
The what?
Center. He means the Motor Center in Portland. He ain't got the nuts, though. He ain't got the balls. Nah, he ain't got the nuts.
All right. Well, if we have 6 minutes left, if anybody has a topic or another debate.
Tone got the link in the chat. I think that this Luka clears Shai logic. Come on up here and tell us why. Come on up here and tell us why SGA is better than Bryant. I'm all ears to hear this. All ears. I won't say a word. I am listening to you. I am listening to your argument. Make me a believer in why SGA is better than Bryant. I'm all ears. I will
SGA over Kobe?
Yes, sir. I will sit here and I will listen to you. I won't say a word.
I don't even want to listen to that.
Make an argument for me. Make an argument for me on why SGA is better than Bryant. I'm all ears. Come on up here. The link is in the chat. It's right there. Come on up here and sell me. Yeah, come on up here and sell me why. Come on up here and sell me why SGA is better than Bryant. I'm all ears to hear it. Because I've actually heard. It's not that I've heard this before, but I've heard SGA and Kobe in conversations.
Hold on. So his name. Hold on. I just want to be clear. His name is Luka clears Shai.
Yeah, he don't even think. Yeah.
But he says SGA clears Kobe,
which means that Luka got to be better than Bryant too.
I was just gonna say,
right,
isn't that the transitive property there?
Right. If that's the case, yeah, he got to be better than Bryant too. So yeah.
So okay, just to play devil's advocate here, I think the real question has to be: is current Shai, or the past 2 seasons of Shai, so 2025 Shai and 2026 Shai, or just like one? So is 2025 Shai better than the best year of Kobe? In which we'd have to identify what is the best year of Kobe.
Yeah.
08. probably, or
No.
09. If we're not talking
No.
like 09.
No. That's BS. That's a cop out. No, you can't do that. See, this is the shit that I hate. You can't say, oh, this current player who's only played 15 minutes is better than this all-time
100%.
great. But we're only going to use because
So he's
they're
not.
only 2 years in or 5 years. They've only had 3 years of peak. Well, we're only going to use those 3 years against this player's only their best 3 years. No, if you're comparing this is why I don't put active players on my all-time list, because if you're not going to compare career for career, then just say, hey, peak for peak, or this best season versus best season. That's fine. That's a different debate. If you're going to say all-time better, you're going to look at everything they did. You're going to look at that first year when they sucked as a rookie. You're going to look at the second year when they barely played, and their progression versus an entire career of someone. And you cannot win that case in this particular instance.
I think 03 Kobe is the best version of Kobe too. Like offense, defense.
If we said that, but
Just
if we said
completely
better-
ignored what I just said.
I'm
if
saying
we
that
said
one
better
season.
25 Shea. 25 Shea's better individually, a better individual season than any season Kobe Bryant ever had.
Any season.
Any season. Tell me a better season that
2003 Kobe is better.
Why is that a
than
better
SGA
season than SGA?
I think
I'd like to hear that argument too.
Hold on. He's just a better basketball player all around. There is nothing except hold on. There's nothing maybe except 3-point shooting that is better than that Kobe. He's not a better mid-range. He's not a better mid-range shooter. He's not a better mid-range shooter. He's not a better mid-range shooter than Kobe. Because if you look at the defense now played in 2003, if you look at Bruce Bowen, hold on. If you look at Bruce Bowen sticking his leg under Kobe in every mid-range jump shot versus today, where come on, there's so much space, it's very different. So yes, you're going to use field goal percent, you're going to use a relative to era, all that stuff. When you watch the games, when you watch Kobe Bryant how we operated that offense versus when you watch SGA operating that offense, 2 different levels. We're not going to talk about defense. 2003 Kobe was the best version of Kobe defensively too. He was locking up everybody.
I think 2000 was I think he's a better defender, but SGA still I think is a better offensive player. The way he's able to carry, the way SGA is able to. The way SGA is able to carry the 2025 Thunder offense, it's like what Iverson did, but on a way more efficient level, like a way better level. And he's scoring. And by the way, you're talking about eras and all this other stuff. Shai is relative to era a lot more efficient than Kobe was in 03 relative to era.
Yeah, but the relative to era is flawed because you're not relative to era is flawed because you can't look at how individual players were guarded by the other team. Like Kobe was guarded in a very kind of physical, nasty way, and he's still put up those numbers.
So is Shai.
You think Shai is guarded nasty like the way Kobe was?
Even if he is guarded, that 2025 Shai is not better than postseason 02 Bryant, postseason 01 Bryant. He is not better than that guy.
Postseason, I agree. Postseason, I agree.
Postseason, that's fair.
If you're asking me about last year's SGA, first and foremost, he sucked. He sucked in that Memphis series. He was not good. They just were better than Memphis.
A low leverage series.
He was not very good in that series. They were just better. They were just better than them. Now when we moved to the Denver series, he was getting better as the series went on. Bryant, every series when we're talking about with that level of talent, when he was on a championship level team, when he was on that championship level team in 2001, in 2002, in 2000, in 2001, in 2002, he was awesome against San Antonio in 2003, even though they lost. Those years, in terms of his production, I ain't even talking about him as a player. I'm just talking about production. He was better than Bryant. I mean, he was better than SGA. Absolutely.
I don't even think SGA is better than the peak Dwayne Wade season or peak James Harden seasons. I don't know how he's in Kobe conversation.
He's absolutely better than peak James Harden season.
No,
James Harden. I think 02, I think Kobe drops in the Spurs series in the second round, but 01, I agree with you. Actually, I think that's a great point. 01 Kobe in the postseason. Up until the finals, he's not very good in the finals.
Well, Shaq was the one getting doubled, not Kobe.
Very good in the finals.
Well, and unfortunately, we are out of time. Jermaine would like to say something before we go. Chilltown Hoops would like to say something before we go.
You guys know where to find us. This is where we are every Tuesday and Wednesday night. That's my man Tony Tone. I'm Chill. That's Jaylen right there. That's Ori. Chris is remote. He's on location. We got the new guy Hoops. He may be joining us in the future, but this is where you can find us every Tuesday and Wednesday night. Me and Fluent on Fluent and Chill. It's on the Chilltown Hoops Network and the Sports Fluent Network. We do this every Tuesday and Wednesday night at 8 and 8:30. We will see you guys soon. Until then, put on a suit, drink water, don't drink and drive. Hey man, call your mother. When's the last time you talked to your mother? Call your mother. We'll talk to you guys soon, but until then, take it light. But take it. Absolutely, man. It was good to see you guys tonight. This was dope.
Yes, sir.
I have 2 words for SJ before we go. Over.
The stage is set. Diversity of takes, nothing but buckets of debate. Thanks to Sports Fluent, Chilltown Hoops, All-American Hoops, Hoop Social, and Jaylen Carter Music. Fluent versus Chill versus everyone. The internet's best sports debate show. Subscribe now. Stay heated. Stay hooping.
Now you're more fluent.